UConn is back at number 1. Number 2, Texas is still undefeated. And number 3, South Carolina is doing what South Carolina does best, which is win. Now, one would think the top 10 is pretty much locked, right? One would think it is what it is. We're going to roll this one all the way to March. But the conversation may not be as settled as y'all think. And obviously, if we look at the rankings, we got 12 undefeated teams right now and multiple conferences with multiple juggernauts. And a lot of people that may be confusing dominance with ease of schedule per se. We're going to talk about it if y'all disagree. So today we're not just reading the AP Top 25. We are going to challenge it, as y'all know we do over here on Her Court, Her Rules. Who of these top 25 teams are really built for March? Let's talk about that. And which one of these teams do y'all think is going to get exposed? Which team or what teams do y'all think is fool's gold out of this top 25? So appreciate y'all for pulling up. Happy Monday. Shout out to y'all. Hope everybody had a great holiday. Got you some good eating going on and all that. Shout out to y'all. You feel me? We're going to get this episode started. You know, each and every episode is powered by Free Your Lenz, a lifestyle brand encouraging dope people like you to move, create, and do all things with purpose and intention. So while y'all here, make sure y'all help us as we are on our road to 500 subscribers. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, get into the comments, because this is a live chat, heavily focused on the chat episode. You feel me? So pull up, get into the comments, man, because we about to get this episode kicked off properly. You heard, it's your girl Naja Lee. You already know how we do it. This top 25, y'all, is something to me. Because this is the second time that I've had the pleasure of breaking down the top 25 with y'all this NCAA season. And I'm never truly surprised though, but the conversation is always, and the biggest question is always, just like the question is in the chat, get active, get active, get active. Is UConn really the best team in the country, right? Or just in the best position right now? Are they clearly the best team in the country? Well, last week AP Top 25 poll had Texas number 2. Again, I said last episode, right? Last time I did the breakdown, I think the top 10 teams are the top 10 teams. I don't think any of these top 10 teams are going to fall out, you know what I mean, and land at 11. I think the top 10 is the top 10. Look at the top of the 10, right? Look at 1 and look at 10. You got to look at who's starting and who's going to close out and round out that top 10, right? UConn been doing what UConn do. You feel me? Powered by Gino, the genius of Gino. You feel me? When you break down the name Gino, it's Gen, okay? Gen and Gino go for genius, okay? Because that's what he do. His mind and his approach to basketball is always upstairs, right? Welcome to Her Court, Her Rules, the realest women's basketball breakdown on the net, and the only place where hoops meet higher perspective. So that's why I love Gino, man. He always gonna go upstairs. So the number 1 team is UConn, right? The number 10 team is Iowa State, okay? Now, when you look at these two teams, it's really hard to suggest that somebody below them, i.e. Texas, okay, i.e. Kentucky, will have enough to knock them off their spot, right? So that's why I jump off the porch out the gate saying that I think the top 10 teams will be exactly that as we head into March Madness, right? This is March Madness, the end all be all. Everything before that is training camp. We know that. In NCAA basketball, everything prior to March Madness is training camp. It's just getting you ready for the big show. Because you can be that girl leading up. But if you fumble the bag in March Madness, it's the biggest question is going to be, I wonder what could have been, right? We know some of those players that When it was time for them to show up on a big stage, they just didn't do it. At least at certain teams, right? I'm just gonna throw a name out there out the hat real quick. Y'all remember Haley Van Lith, right? Shout out the girl. Shout out to Haley, right? I love her. Everybody had like a soft spot for Haley, right? Since if you've been watching her ACC basketball, shout out to ACC Nation, okay? Um, if you've been watching ACC basketball, right, you already was hip. You was like, okay, you was rooting for a boom. Then she go to LSU, so you really rooting for a boom, boom, boom. And then it just was like, damn, when it was time to show up, you just didn't show up. Boom. Now you transfer, you go to TCU, and the situation changes again, and now boom, you be the girl that we thought you were, right? But then there's still those moments. I wonder if only she would have, you know, during those other moments between Louisville and or LSU, what could have happened then, right? So that's just one name I'm just, just throwing out there, just recent memories of people that, kind of dropped the ball in March Madness. So again, when we're looking at this top 10, I think these numbers, these people, these teams right here are solidified between their number one hitters, right? You look at the number one hitter on the number 10 team, she potentially is the singular best player, offensive threat in the nation behind Audie Crooks. Because you got to send 3 women down there to figure out, to try to guard her. I saw with Kansas, they had the young girl trying to check her, and I said, why y'all doing that to her? She gonna hurt herself out there trying to check all of Audie. Not happening. Send 2 more people, right? When you look at how stacked individually the top 10 teams are, when you just think about the individual names on the top 10 teams, on top of most of these teams have depth, right? They have depth. They can play 8 to 9 players a night. So when that happens, it makes it hard to be like, oh yeah, I think somebody is gonna sneak on in here. Yeah, I think Kentucky or Vanderbilt is gonna sneak on in here. I can't jump out the porch and say that right now. So right now, when we talk about the top 25 or the top 25 teams, specifically the top 10 teams, and we ask the question, is UConn the number one in the nation? And is it clear? You know what I mean? Are they the best team by far? Let's start talking about it. Okay, so they are obviously undefeated. Again, there are 12 undefeated teams right now in the nation. The Huskies could actually have the 2 best players in the country, especially when they are paired together. So if you're thinking about the best individual combo punch, the best duo in NCAA women's basketball, one would have to say at this point is Sarah Strong and AZ Fudd. They have to say it. Why? Why would you say it? Because AZ Fudd has reached a new level beyond even her most outstanding player performance at this past April's Final Four. Okay, she didn't already top that. She is making 3 3-pointers a game, 3.4 actually. Okay, and shooting 50% from 3. Come on, man. Obviously, where she is and her contribution offensively and defensively, when you pair that with Sarah Strong, who's a sophomore, right? Who is probably going into this season thinking about probably going to be the national player of the year, more than likely going to get that award in her sophomore season. Has she disappointed us actually during the season? Has she, based on the projections of her going into this season, has she been a disappointment in this season? Absolutely not. She's lived up to the expectations and her team is winning. So when you pair Sarah Strong and AZ Fudd as a collective, on top of the depth in their team on the on the Huskies, baby. Shout out to Huskies Nation, man. Y'all got one. Y'all got one. Y'all got one. Y'all might just skip on over to the finals. Okay, to the championship game, championship game. Y'all might go ahead. We gonna see. I think UConn definitely is a top team. I think they're gonna forever be that number one team. And again, them in Texas, Texas can make an argument for that number one spot as they were number one last week. Okay. And they too are undefeated. The difference with their games and UConn games is that even though UConn, both of them are blowing their teams out, it's like UConn never has any challenges throughout any part of the game. Excuse me. Where some teams, other teams we see sometimes when you look at the box score quarter to quarter, first quarter to fourth quarter, usually there is a little slower of a start, and that first quarter gap is insignificant, right? Is single digits gap. We looking at 8-9 points, right? And then the pressure comes, and then they put the mash on them, and then second, third, fourth quarter they outscore their teams, these other teams, by 15 plus points each quarter, right? And it'd be crazy because you look at the final box score of a team, and let me see if I could pull one up from like earlier today, because we got games on right now. All right, so Maryland and Wisconsin is on right now, just to give y'all kind of an example. And this game is only in the third quarter. So let me get this up on the screen, right? So Maryland and Wisconsin is on right now, game by the end of the third quarter. This score is 73-40. By the end of this game, Wisconsin might have 54 points, and Maryland will probably have 98. And so when you're looking at box scores like that, when it's a 40-point spread or 50-point spread, you're like, oh God, a blowout is a blowout, right? But then when you start to see the actual quarter by quarter box score, if you hadn't watched the game, you will see that one team has been significantly and consistently putting belt to A all game, right? And another team brought the belt out second quarter, and then you was in a chokehold ever since, right? And so when we use like tomatoes, right? What's a ass whooping is ass whooping. You feel me? However it comes, you look at the final score, but then at the end of the day, you gotta, in order to separate these teams, now you got to start diving into like the little petty stuff. And in real world, those are like the petty analytics, but you kind of got to get petty when 12 teams are undefeated. Let me go back to the top 25 poll. Let's just run through it. UConn 1, 12-0. Texas 2, 14-0. South Carolina 3, 12-1. UCLA 4, 11-1. LSU 5, 13-0. We talked about this, right? We talked about how LSU should probably be a little bit perturbed when they've been smoking teams and averaging the most points per game, and they're sitting at number 5. Now here we are a whole nother week later, and actually we're 2 weeks later since we did the last AP top 25 review. Here we are, they're still undefeated, yet UCLA still got you feel me? I think that this is gonna change though, because if y'all saw UCLA versus Ohio State, it was a battle for UCLA. That wasn't an easy win. Ohio State fought, and they were in that game the entire time. They fought back. They stayed close enough to keep UCLA scared and on their heels. And Kiki Rice and obviously Lauren Betts, they definitely had to step up in their way and secure a win. Because I'm like, oh yo, if Ohio State crack UCLA tomorrow, that's what I was saying yesterday. If Ohio State crack UCLA, UCLA might drop 5 slots, right? But they squoze out a victory. Thank goodness, because it was looking tight, right? So LSU definitely got something to talk about here at number 5. If I was them, I'd be like, we definitely need to be 4. But again, I think next week's, LSU will be 4 and UCLA will be 5. Because that Ohio State game was yesterday. So then we got 6, Michigan 10-1. Maryland, shout out to Maryland, shout out to DMV. Maryland 13-0. Yikes. TCU 13-0. Yikes. Now we didn't, once the transfers went over, right? Transfer portal, and we saw Olivia Miles going to TCU, we already knew that they was going to be smoking hot, right? We already know. So shout out to them though. Oklahoma, right? With Chavez, and I mean they just got a dominant group over there in Oklahoma. They are 11-1, sitting at 8, right? So this is the only other movement in top 10. TCU and Oklahoma. Now we're probably going to see this change and rotate throughout the season, the same way with Connecticut and Texas, right? We might see more change there, more flip there, but is if UConn continue to be dominant and they have harder, tougher games moving forward. So if they impose their will on these top 25 contenders that they have, especially in January, I mean, is they're going to be number one going into March Madness, right? So, but TCU and Oklahoma, I predict this changing often back and forth, back and forth. Now, here's the thing: it can't. If one team lose, the other team has to lose, right? Because again, this 8, they're tied for 8 and 8. So this 8, 9, and 10, this can be all the movement that we see usually. More than likely for the remainder of the season, I would not be surprised if Oklahoma catch an L or if TCU catch an L, but Iowa State had not. Iowa State jumped to that 8 and TCU rotate down to that 9 and Oklahoma rotate down to that 10. I can definitely see that happening, right? But again, I think the top 10 is pretty locked in. If y'all think otherwise, if y'all think maybe Kentucky is going to sneak in, um let's look at schedule. Let's look at Kentucky's schedule. Let's see if Kentucky has a path to sneak in this top 10. But before we do that, let's get into the chat. Shout out to Chicago Cheetah. Welcome to Her Court, Her Rules. Texas Longhorns have 2. They got to play LSU, the number 1 offense in the country, on January 11th in LSU. I don't think they win that game. Matter of fact, let's go to, before I go looking at them. Thank you for your comment. Let's pull up LSU's schedule. And you said it's on January 11th. Let's go fast forward to that. And let's we'll see what they got leading up to it. Okay, so on the 1st, they got Kentucky. That ain't going to be an easy game either. Kentucky, Vanderbilt, back-to-back. Okay, smoke in the city. Georgia, then Texas. Then the very next game, Oklahoma. So first and foremost, clutch your pearls if you are LSU Tigers fans, because these next few, listen, out of 5 games, 4 of these Johns gonna be problematic. Now 11 and 12, don't sleep. This is going to be Vandy's and Kentucky's hardest test probably of the season, like the entire season, right? However, I think they're built for the test. Now, is LSU probably going to win? We'll see, right? If I'm ESPN Analytics, I would say LSU is probably going to win. However, right, what does that win look like? Is it an overtime win? Is it a last second shot win? Is it a 10-point win, 20-point win? You feel me? Then those things start to matter. And then now that we've been number 5 all season long can start to change just right after these next 6 games. Let's get to the comments. Texas also has to then go on the road after playing, yes, LSU, which will probably be a loss in place. South Carolina on the road. Let's go to Texas schedule. So we know right here, LSU's next 5 games are going to be tough. LSU's next 5 games are going to be tough. Keep our eyes open for what the standings look like post 11-18. Post 11-18, let's keep an eye out and see, will LSU still be number 5 by 1-18? We'll see, because it's gonna look crazy. It's gonna look crazy right now. Let's go to Texas. Let's look at their schedule. And shout out to Chicago Cheetah for helping us with this dialogue today. So let's look at Texas schedule. Hold on. So we got Missouri, not worry about that. Ole Miss. Now, okay, so here's where the shenanigans start. On January 4th, Texas has to play Ole Miss. Now, the good thing about this is a home game, right? It's a good thing about this. But Ole Miss is a gritty, dirty, grimy, aggressive, in your jersey, never quitting team. So when LSU opens the door to Ole Miss on January 4th, they better be ready. Okay? Not LSU, I'm sorry, Texas. When Texas opens the door to Ole Miss on January 4th, they better be ready, because don't let the seeds fool you. 2 verse 15. Maybe in men's basketball it's a clear-cut thing. I don't know. But in women's basketball, it could be smoke in the city right here. Boom. Then we move on to Auburn. Huh? Huh? Not worry about it. Then you got LSU. LSU on the 11th. So let's look at this. 4th, you open the doors to Ole Miss. 11th, thank goodness you got a little time. I mean, you got Auburn, but you still got a little time. The 11th, you open the doors. I'm sorry, you are on the road at LSU. So you welcome Ole Miss. You're on the road at LSU. You're on the road at South Carolina. Yikes. Yikes. Again, by 118, let's look and see where Texas is. Will Texas go ahead and in their next 6 games, 3 of them are ranked, and 2 of them, actually, and 3 of them are a problem. So in their next 5 games, I'm sorry, they got 3 ranked. Come on. Come on, somebody. 2 of them they stand to lose. Gonna be great games. This game really depends on if, shout out to South Carolina Gamecocks. Y'all know that's my second favorite team. Tanaya Latson, right? We know that Tanaya Latson just recently went down. Let me see what her injury news are just recently. Let's see, 9 hours ago. Let's see, 6 hours ago. I'll be trying to get the most recent. Let's see what they saying. No, see, you know what I'm saying? When you click on the article, they be trying to make you pay. I'm not doing that. I'm not paying for no article, dog. Injury. Let's see if we got any updates. It's saying lower left leg injury. Let's see if there's anything after Dawn Staley saying what she said. I don't think there's anything after that. Yeah. So we're gonna have to see, like, if Tanaya Latson is not available at the Texas South Carolina game, then obviously that will bode well for Texas. But if she is, then that's going to be a problem, especially if that's on the road. So Texas has a challenging schedule again as we lead up to August. August. I'm smoking. That's crazy. To January 18th. Let's look at who else should we look at in the top 25 real quick. Let me get to the comment. Ole Miss versus Texas Longhorns will be a good game, but the Rebels are having questions offensively. You know what? And that's really what their Achilles heel has been, for real, for real. For the last couple years, is that they just can't score consistently. And they play amazing defense, but like when you can't score with the people that's the teams that can get you, high 80s, low 90s on a bad night. You catch LSU on a good night, they giving you they giving you 100. You feel me? On a bad night, they gonna give you 89. So it's like, even then, right now where the women's basketball is if you can't consistently get 79, 90 points. I mean 79, 80 points consistently, it's going to make it really challenging for you to be competitive. Um Again, let me pull up UConn's schedule real quick so we can look at their next few games. But I told y'all before that actually I opened the episode. What did I say at the top of the episode? I said a lot of people may be getting it confused, okay, with teams showing dominance or you know they got a little easy schedule, and so let's look at UConn real quick, not to judge their schedule a little bit, but we just went through Texas, we went through LSU, right? Let's look at UConn. Okay, UConn next 6 games. Again, our benchmark is this January 18th point, because by then everybody has had 5 to 6 games, right? And 3 of them are top 25 ranked teams. On the flip side here, UConn, they play on the 31st, Providence, Seton Hall. Come on, y'all see? Great. Come on, Villanova. Okay. What, they don't play nobody for real until January 19th. Then when you get to January 19th, they don't play nobody again for real until February 1st. And then that's it. So between now and March 1st, UConn will only have played 2 of the top 25 teams. Hear me out, y'all. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? So when I say to y'all that although I think UConn is a dominant program and they have exceeded expectations, even though they won last year, right? They still have exceeded expectations because they've been smoking, and they've been smoking everybody, right? Everybody. Even a few ranked teams that they have played so far, they've been smoking them. However, when we look at the schedule and we look at the ease of schedule from now until March 1st, 2026, the UConn Huskies will only have played 2 top 25 teams. And that's number 23 Tennessee and number 18 Notre Dame. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. This the schedule. I'm not making this up. Providence. Look at this. Look at this. I'm not making this up. So when we talk about some teams might got a little bit easier, I'm not being biased. I'm not being biased. I'm not being biased. Again, we go back to Texas. This is a number 2 team. This is why I say that the 1 and 2 of the top 25 teams, we may see some rotation up and down, right? Because I think just based off schedule alone, Texas is going to have a better claim to be number 1 just off scheduling alone. Again, we said from now until March 1st, UConn has how many? How many teams they're going to play? Ranked 2. 2 teams, right? Okay, right. Let's go back. Let's count how many ranked teams they're going to play between now and March 1st. We have Ole Miss 1, LSU 2, South Carolina 3, Oklahoma 4, LSU again 5, Kentucky 6, Vanderbilt 7, Tennessee 8. 8 ranked teams between now and March 1st. Meanwhile, UConn is only going to play 2. Let's look at South Carolina, because I'm not bugging when I say that UConn schedule is mad easy, dog. It's mad easy, dog. And y'all can get in the chat and say, Nas, you tripping, Nas, you hating, Nas, you hate. I can't hate. The schedule is a schedule, and I didn't make it. Because if I made it, I have everybody playing everybody. It'd be like boxing. Can't duck no smoke over here, baby. You got to run through them. You got to run through them or you get ran over. Let's go. South Carolina, between now and March 1st, the end of the season, that's the barometer, right? UConn, 2 ranked teams. Texas, 8 ranked teams. South Carolina, 1. Texas, Oklahoma, 2. Vanderbilt, 3. Tennessee, 4. LSU, 5. Let's go. Ole Miss, 6. Kentucky, 7. Still smoking UConn at they little hot two top 25 teams. LSU also lead the country in shooting percentage and bench points. Fun fact. There, I would not be surprised. Hold on, let me take a sip of this. Pause for the camera. Pause for the camera. This episode is not sponsored by Dr. Pepper, strawberries and cream. However, if y'all are standing at y'all local grocer aisle, and the aisle is long, and you get a quench, your thirst need to be quenched, go ahead and get you this Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream. It tastes delightful. Put a smile on my face immediately. Okay, so this is good. Hold on. LSU, again, sips tea, sips Dr. Pepper. I believe that LSU probably can sneak into the top 3 by the end of the season. That's what I think. I think LSU, because based on your fun fact, they're leading the league in shooting percentage, leading the league in scoring, leading the NCAA in bench points. If they remain healthy and they continue to do these things, plus they got that secret weapon off that bench who can dunk now, you better watch it. You better watch her. So that being said, I think LSU, let's go to the top 10 again. I think LSU 25 might be able to sneak into that top 3. Again, we are looking at the ease or strength of schedule, and we're comparing it to the number 1 team in the league right now, or in the NCAA right now. And we just want to see if we bugging, if we tripping, or if, UConn may have a little easier way out. But right now, the top 3 teams, UConn, Texas, South Carolina. So if LSU is sitting at 5, 13, and 0, for them to sneak into the 3rd seed or rank, we gonna need to probably see another loss from both of these teams. Now, we looked at South Carolina's schedule. Let's take a look at it one more time. Let's just jump into see where they could potentially lose. Well, here it is, on the 15th against Texas. Again, if they don't have Tanaya Latson, even though it's a home game, that might be a little challenging for them. Okay. Also, going into Oklahoma on the road with the way they playing over there, watch out. So they do have some games that we need to be on the lookout for. Bolo, that they can go ahead and take that L. Let's look at UCLA's schedule. Because again, I do think that there's a path for LSU to crack that top 3. And again, those rankings mean everything as we enter March Madness. Right now we closing out the year, but we're gonna blink and it's gonna be February 14th. We talking about some of Happy Valentine's Day and all that. Okay? So March Madness is literally right around the corner. Let's look at UCLA. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all for pulling up. While you're here, make sure y'all like, hit that subscribe, and help us get to 500 subscribers. Appreciate y'all. So they got Penn State, you know what I mean? I don't even know why that's on Peacock, but why is that on Peacock? Come on. So they have USC. Should be a good game, but I'm not worried about that. So they have 1 between now and the 1st, March 1st. 1 USC, 2 Nebraska, 3 Maryland, 4 Michigan, 5 Michigan State, 6 USC again, right? But really, USC, I still got UCLA in both of those games pretty clear. So instead of having 6, I'm gonna go ahead and count that as 5. Go ahead and count that as 5. Count that as 5. So UCLA's schedule was probably a little bit lighter. Maybe I missed Iowa 6. Probably a little bit lighter out of the top 5. But it will be still more opposition between them and Connecticut. Michigan, no mobility there. I mean, no movement there, no movement with Maryland. Again, 1 through 7, these teams been pretty solid. I think 8 through 10, 8, 9, and 10. I think we're gonna see a lot more movement there, especially with Iowa State. I think they may if TCU catch a L and Iowa catch. I mean Oklahoma catch a L. Oklahoma got some tough games coming up. They got Texas coming up. They got South Carolina coming up. So if they catch some L's and TCU remains sturdy, then we can easily see Iowa State sneak on in. Matter of fact, let's look at Iowa State's schedule. Let's look at Iowa State's schedule. From now until March 1st, they have 1, Baylor, 2, Texas Tech, 3, TCU. So they schedule pretty light. Let's go look at TCU real quick. They only got 3. Iowa State. Let's look at TCU. Oh, light. Okay, Oklahoma. Ohio State, that's really disrespectful. The Ohio State, my bad. Let me put some respect on it. The Ohio State, 1. Texas Tech, 2. Baylor, 3. Iowa State, 4. Baylor, 5. Pretty light. So right now, as far as ease of schedule in our top 10, it's looking like the number 1 easiest schedule is UConn. The number 2 easiest schedule is Iowa State. The number 3 easiest schedule is TCU. The number 4 easiest schedule, who did I say? UCLA. And then it gets significantly more challenging from there. I didn't look at any Big Ten schools real quick. Hold on. Let me see what Big Ten doing. Big Ten ain't really got no smoke. So unless they scheduling out of conference, we'll see. Okay, so this is in conference. So 1, Ohio State, 2, USC in conference, 3, UCLA, 4, Iowa. So 3 or 4 of those are in conference. 5, Michigan State, another in conference. 6, Nebraska, another one. Ohio State, 7. Michigan, 8. Damn, Maryland's schedule. See, again, a lot of these teams are in the Big Ten. You know, it's crazy to see USC in the Big Ten. You know what I mean? Like, so we have had some movement over the last few years with our conferences. So I'm still trying to get adjusted to seeing USC in the Big Ten. It's really crazy. But Big Ten is actually a little bit tougher than I had to think about it. You looking at Ohio State, USC, Iowa, Nebraska, Michigan, and Michigan State. That's all Big Ten work. So in conference with Big Ten is pretty tough. They're gonna have Big Ten championship is gonna be a dogfight. So Maryland got a tough schedule. So right now it's looking like UConn got the easiest schedule, and more than likely with the easiest, if you got the easiest schedule in the top 10, you're gonna finish the season more than likely, with the number one shot or slot. So, I'm gonna ask the chat this though. And if y'all are here watching, this is a great time for y'all to pull up and get active. Has there been any one game thus far this season that has proved to y'all, based on the eye test, that UConn is the team to beat? When you look at UConn's past games, right, they're undefeated, okay? And we seen them, walk over Louisville early in the season, ranked team. We seen them have a really close fight against Michigan. We've seen them demolish Utah, pop, belt the A. And, we've seen them spank Iowa. So we also saw them walk on USC. But I know the media was going crazy that UConn got their revenge against USC, but did you really get your revenge if Juju wasn't there? Did you really? No. No, no, not happening. If you smoke the y'all, I'm a Cavs fan. If you smoke the fat Cavs and Donovan Mitchell ain't there, you ain't smoke nobody. You ain't smoke nobody. You smoke the Cavs with Donovan Mitchell on the court, then you smoke somebody, right? You smoke USC without Juju, you ain't smoke nobody. Now, shout out to USC. They are well coached and they play hard, and they got some good players, some good talent over there. The draft class, though, we need to be on the lookout. It's gonna be next year where we gonna be like, oh shit, USC is back, top four in the nation. Watch for next season. This season, they making sure they remain ranked to make it easier next season so they can crack that top four. Don't even worry about it. Next season, I'm not worried about that. So, is there any one team? Again, I ran through. Did they, between the Michigan win, which was close, between the USC blowout and the Iowa blowout, and I'm only talking about the ranked teams right now because who cares about what they did to non-ranked teams? Between those wins, would that solidify for y'all? UConn is the team. From my eye, what they did to Iowa, I thought was impressive. I thought they had their foot on Iowa's neck the entire game. I thought that was impressive because I did a I actually did a pregame for UConn versus Iowa, asking the people, is this one of those must watch games? And I thought it was. And then once I got to that second quarter, I said, I can go ahead and replan my day because I am not spending no more time watching this. It's going to continue to get ugly. And from there, that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, no, I think that UConn, from what they've done thus far, I think it's enough to say that they have locked down that number one seed. I'm going to have to see them. Really, they really ain't playing a lot of competition this through March, right? They're playing two teams. They're playing Tennessee and they're playing Notre Dame. Now, if they go out there and belt to Notre Dame and Hannah don't get off and she ain't got 30,000 steals in the game, you know what I'm saying? And she ain't give you the triple double up, and UConn is still applying pressure, and Sarah Strong can't nobody stop her, and Aisley get whenever she want, then I'm like, okay, yeah, because Notre Dame, shout out to y'all, Notre Dame is January 19th. That's the ultimate competition so far, right? Again, I'm with you. Shout out to T loves to eat. Me too. We got that in common. T love to eat, dog. But I thought the Iowa game was impressive too. I didn't think it was going to go down like that. I did think UConn was going to win. I just didn't think it was going to be as dominant as it was from the tip. It was never a point in the game where I said Iowa got a chance. From the tip, I said Iowa, it's going to be a long night for Iowa. It's gonna be a long night. It's almost like UConn thought in their mind Caitlin Clark was about to suit up and pull up and get on a. It's like they was like, no, we got bad. We want to taste blood. I'm not mad at that. When you really like that as a team, you should do that to everybody, especially the ranked teams. So the Iowa win was impressive. This Notre Dame game on January 19th is really going to be something. It is a home game. So it is a home game. And game. So I like that. So 5 o'clock game. It's on Fox. It's at home. If that's what's a dominant win to y'all against a ranked team with an all-star superstar caliber player in Hannah Hidalgo? What's a here it is. This that win. This that belt to A moment we need. Are we looking at 20-point plus? Or are we looking at if they have 15 plus point spread for the majority of the game? Is that what y'all looking for dominant? You was at the Iowa game. Damn. I ain't even I kind of like glanced over the first part. I just saw Iowa impressive, right? That be speed reading and shit, but I be forgetting stuff. I be missing stuff. You was at the game. Oh, I know that thing was crazy. So an impressive win against Notre Dame would be 20 plus points. I would agree. Not to say if they had like a 15 to like 17 point spread for like 3 quarters, the majority of like 3 full quarters. I'm like, because I get that first quarter a little bit tight, but if they start to pull away second quarter and continue that lead 15 to 17 points, even sustaining a Notre Dame run and still keep that 15-point spread, I think that will be dominant too, because I think that if it's 15 points or less, I think Notre Dame can get back in the game with a couple shots. Plus, just with defense on the point of attack on the ball, it only take a couple steals, and now your comfortable home game with your comfortable, lead, now it's getting a little tense because the Notre Dame fans travel too. You feel me? Not only at the game, but sitting next to Sarah's mom and the co-owner of the Celtics, I was living a dream. Dog. Yo, that was definitely the dream. That was definitely the dream. Oh man, I know your photo real crazy, like your moments. When I go to places and go to games and stuff, like I find myself, I might take some photos and some videos first quarter, but after that I be so locked in the game, I ain't really got my phone. So I would understand if you didn't have like captured a lot of moments on a phone, but just being there and just the energy alone, and then you sit next to Mama Strong. Man, what? Shout out to you, man. Shout out to Mama Strong, man. That was a hell of a game. Let me take pictures with the championship. Yo, you cutting up out there. So you came over here on Hardcore Her Rules just to brag, huh? I feel you though. Happy holidays to you. That's all right. Man, that's lit, man. Shout out to you, man. I know that was a hell of a time, bro. I know that was a hell of a time, bro. So when we look at this top 10, y'all, look at this top 10. Again, I don't really see no activity that I'm like, oh, I'm super surprised about. The 11 through obviously 25, that's where the interest for real is. Like that's where the movement is going to be. More importantly, we can already see it. We see Kentucky moved up from 12. Vanderbilt moved up from 13. Louisville then moved up from 16. Okay. Iowa dropped 3 spots, right? Mississippi dropped a spot. Shout out to Chicago Cheetah, pointed out earlier in the broadcast that Mississippi had problems scoring. So expect the unexpected, especially when we look at these bottom 10 teams, right? From Mississippi to Princeton, it can get a little sketchy as the season progresses. Again, strength of schedule or ease of schedule is going to determine how much motion we have, right? Look at Texas Tech. They jumped 5 spots. Baylor had a tough week. They dropped 7. Tennessee dropped 7. Okay. So the bottom 10 teams is going to be interesting. The top 10 teams, not so much. Now, again, we kind of looked at who's playing who. We didn't look at Michigan to see. Actually, we did look at Michigan to see already who they're playing from now until March. And they're in the Big Ten, so they have some problems. So Big Ten teams in the top 10, they're gonna have a challenging schedule moving forward. SEC teams, I would say on level of challenge, out of 1 to 10, just ranking strength of schedule, I would say Big Ten teams have 8.5. Okay, 10 being hardest. Big 10 teams have 8.5. SEC teams, I would say, have about a 6.5 strength of schedule as far as which how hard, you know what I'm saying, how hard you got to fight for the remainder of the season, right? And everybody else between ACC, okay, I'm going to say they have the easiest, obviously. ACC and Big 12, Big 12 having the easiest. Big 12, the only team that matters, you know, UConn. Shout out to JTTVP Podcast. Welcome to Her Core Her Rules. If y'all here, do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We are on our road to 500 subscribers. Y'all know each and every episode is powered by For Your Lenz, a lifestyle brand encouraging dope people like you to do all things with purpose and attention. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let the algorithm know that we over here doing good work, talking about basketball, women's basketball from a high perspective. Y'all already know how we do, man. Y'all, and on that note, man, this about to wrap up the episode, man. We went through the top 25. We talked about who's at the top. We talked about who's at the bottom, right? We talked about the potential movement we'll see in the top 10 and in the bottom 10. Then we talked about the teams in the middle, right? Last question I'm gonna ask y'all for the chat. Which top 25 team, or what top 25 teams do you think are built for March? And you can name teams that are not in the top 5. We know UConn, Texas, South Carolina, UCLA, LSU, they're built for March. They've been in the March conversation for the last 5 years consistently, these teams. And we know that most of these programs have, all they know is top 5, top 5, top 10, top 10, right? Now, do you think there's somebody in the top 25 that may shock us, in March, right? That may shock us in March and do something that we don't see coming? Is there a team? I'm going to go like the old churches. Let there be one. Let there be one. Come on down. Let there be one. I think a team that might shock us, 2 teams. First and foremost, how can you go against all these crooks? How can you say that a team with all these crooks won't shock y'all? So I think Iowa State can shock you in March. Michigan, the way they pushed UConn was impressive. Yo, now T loves to eat. Let's go to Michigan. Michigan, Big 10 team. They have, when we did strength of schedule, they have one of the hardest schedules to close the year. If you weren't here then when I reviewed their schedule, let me just hop in and tell y'all who they play that are ranked for the remainder of the year. They play Vanderbilt, USC, Michigan State, Nebraska, UCLA, Michigan State, Iowa, Ohio State, and Maryland to close the season. Those are just the ranked teams, okay? Michigan is a scary modo hobo, okay, because they have depth, they have strength, they can play fast if they need to, they can dominate in the half court. They don't turn the ball over, or they're just a, what you would call a conscious basketball team. They're just smart, right? They're smart. Smart teams always do well in March Madness, especially if they can keep up with scoring. A lot of times we find that smart teams usually lack the scoring finesse and consistency to like keep up with the teams that sometimes when they get a little sloppy, they can still just outplay you, right? We've seen that sometimes with LSU. If they get a little sloppy, they still know that if nothing else, they can still outscore you. Sloppy or not, Malaysia, whatever, turnovers, couple turn, whatever. At the end of the day, I still rather have Malaysia with 3 or 4 turnovers in a game than having a team without her. Come on now. So I agree. Michigan is a scary team. I agree. Michigan is a scary team in the top 25. I think they could do something. If Ole Miss has some scoring, a sharpshooter, I will put a couple dollars behind Ole Miss. figurative dollars, not literal dollars, because I don't be gambling, nothing like that. But if y'all do gamble, then I wish y'all well. I wish y'all hit on y'all parlays. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no hater. So, I think I think TCU can also do a little dance in the big dance in March Madness. That's my prediction. I got two teams. I got Iowa State and I got TCU that could shock us in March Madness. Shout out to y'all for being active in the chat. We got T Loves to Eat, thinks that Michigan is impressive and they can shock us in March Madness. I don't know. I know that as we go into January, I know based on what we've reviewed in the schedule that we're walking into the best basketball of the NCAA season this January. So if you do not have a New Year's resolution, or if you don't get down like that, sometimes some people like, oh, yeah, I ain't doing no New Year's resolution. Listen, I got one resolution. I want to see a whole lot of good basketball in 2026. That's from all the leagues. That's NCAA. That's Unrivaled. That's Lord knows if we have a WNBA, which we're gonna have a WNBA. People are talking about, oh, we ain't having no WNBA. They gonna shut us down. Ain't nobody shutting no WNBA down now. Make too much money, even if it's figurative. So obviously to close out the NBA season, I just want to see a lot of high quality, competitive, intense basketball that matters, because hashtag ball is life. You heard? This is Her Core, Her Rules. It's your girl Najee. I appreciate everybody for pulling up and supporting the live stream. Thanks for watching. We do this Mondays at 6 o'clock EST every Monday. Okay, so when you do pull up, you already know, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and if you hit the subscribe, you're gonna get the bell notification when we go live anyway, because on Wednesdays we do our Cavs State of Mind every Wednesday at 6 p.m. EST. Again, y'all get the thing here. The theme is 6 o'clock. Anytime I go to live, more than likely it's going to be at 6 o'clock. If it's a surprise stream on a Friday or a Saturday, sometimes that'll be early afternoon. But usually it's at 6 o'clock. That's the schedule over here. Mondays and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. So make sure y'all pull up this Wednesday. We're going to talk about the identity crisis of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I said it already, but Donovan Mitchell echoed my sentiments just a couple days ago, right? When he was interviewed by ESPN. He said the Cavs don't got no identity. I've been telling y'all that. Okay, so I don't be cap. Ain't no cap in my rap, you heard? Shout out to y'all. This is Her Core, Her Rules. This is powered by Free Your Lenz, and it's your girl Najee. Peace and freedom, everybody. We gonna catch y'all on the flip.